Well, I am going to go ahead and start my spiel because it'll still be a minute or two here before we actually dive into the session. So thank you to everyone for joining us for today's webinar. Before I hand it over to our Apex Accelerator Director Kelly, just a few quick things on our end. You are welcome to ask questions throughout this session. We do prefer, a lot of interaction and hands-on, even though we are in a virtual setting today. So just feel free to drop any of that in the chat. And then you will receive a follow-up email that will go out tomorrow morning, and it will include a recording of today's session. So if you need to go back and revisit anything, that will be accessible. And then Natalie also provided us with a handout that I will make sure that all of you get after the fact as well, since we are not in person. But again, if you can just drop those questions, comments, reactions, things like that in the chat, we will be monitoring it. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to Kelly, who will get us started, and then she will introduce Natalie.
Jordan, thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. We're very excited about this presentation on Craft a Compelling Business Description. I'm Kelly Krieger-Hurrah, and I'm the Center Director for the Illinois Apex Accelerator at the Champaign County EDC, and welcome. Just briefly want to let you know the Illinois Apex Accelerator is under the management of the Department of Defense's Office of Small Business Programs. And we're considered the front door to expand the number of businesses that are capable of and pursuing and performing under contracts with the Department of Defense and the other federal agencies, state agencies, and local government agencies as well, and also working with government prime contractors. So for us, we want to provide critical education and training to businesses of all sizes that are seeking to participate in government agency procurements. And we understand as Apex Accelerators that we're here to help generate new procurement suppliers for, again, local, state, and federal government agencies. And we want that to result in a stronger industrial base, greater competition, and really higher goods and services at a lower cost for you, the taxpayer. And Apex accelerators can be critical enablers to opening the defense industrial base to small, non-traditional companies. The technology that we generate and who are on the forefront of innovation, getting that innovation commercialized much faster to the marketplace as a small business rather than the government. And we are part of a national organization, and this map will show that we have centers across the United States and in the territories. And what that brings is the ability to network among all of our other Apex accelerators for support. And this gives you an idea of the metrics, the types of support that we provide as Illinois Apex accelerators to the clients that we serve, conduct market research, finding government opportunities, and establish relationships again with the agencies, working with SAM and the other government registrations that vendors are required to have. Read and understand government bid and proposal solicitations, which can be very daunting at times and a bit overwhelming. Locating businesses, large and small, again, because we work with all size businesses to form partnering agreements between firms, and helping you locate technical information, previous pricing data if you're working on a proposal and looking at pricing comparisons, understanding certain packaging standards, navigating the certifications, which can be a tool in your toolbox when you're doing government contracting, preparing for pre-bid conferences, list interviews in the capability statements, part of which we're going to incorporate the information that we received today in our presentation into capability statements, and basically pre and post award assistance. We have served a number of businesses, well over 1,400. We conduct seminars, webinars like we're doing today, outreach and networking events, several thousand hours of counseling each year to our clients in the state of Illinois. Our clients have won more than 150 contracts, and we help to create jobs and save jobs. And if by chance I have reached you and you are outside of the central Illinois area, there are 11 centers in the state of Illinois. And here's a listing of the other centers. And we try to help our clients regionally so we can also take advantage of opportunities that are located close to our center in our communities. So with that, and we do have an couple of upcoming opportunities for outreach and training. You see here our next two training events. One is the fourth part of our certification series on the IDOT, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, through the U.S. Department of Transportation. And also at the end of the month of March, how to respond to an RFP and an RFQ. And tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll be hosting a Illinois Government Contracting Summit up in Forest Park, Illinois. So we're very excited about that networking opportunity. And with that, I'm going to, with great pleasure, introduce our speaker for today, Natalie Marquez. Natalie is the founder of Grow Marketing and Communications LLC. It's a firm that provides business development, marketing, branding, and communication support. Natalie has served a variety of startups in the healthcare and agriculture sectors. She also works closely with small businesses across the state of Illinois to provide strategic leadership and expertise to help companies achieve their marketing goals. Natalie also has an interest in supporting nonprofits by providing fractional chief marketing officer services. This allows nonprofits to access strategic marketing expertise and the experience of a CMO without having to incur the full cost of hiring a full-time employee. Natalie, we are just thrilled to have you here today. And so with that, I want to thank you again, and I'm going to turn.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna share my screen here and we'll get started. All right. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Kelly and Jordan, for having me today. We're going to talk about business descriptions today. Today's plan, we're going to talk about why you need a business description. We're going to talk about how a business description is different than, say, like your company profile. And then we're actually going to write an on-brand business description. So although we are meeting virtually today, we're going to do some work in our respective locations and then do a little bit of sharing as well. Let me open my chat over here just so that I can see if anyone has any questions before we dive into this next slide. And just know that I'm a pretty casual person, so if you have questions, feel free to type them into the chat and we'll answer them as we move along. So what is a business description? I think I've said already more than once, this is not your company description. It's different from, you know, that beginning paragraph of your business plan. I like to think about the business description as something people refer to as like an about me or a bio. It's something that's very solid. It's a solid overview of your company, but it's super concise. I like to say that it's keyword heavy, but maybe not stuffed with keywords. And we'll get into what that means in an upcoming slide. But it's a way that you can really eloquently and efficiently describe your business to someone, either verbally or written. I also, because I'm a marketing person, consider it to be a marketing tool that can really help you attract new clients, build credibility. It's your introduction. It's your chance to really let people know what it is that you do and why. And speaking of why do you need a business description? Really, it's crucial for promoting your business. Again, I'm of the marketing view of all of this, but really it is crucial to spread the word about your business. It's a mission critical intro to your business. It gives someone that immediate understanding of what it is that you do and who you cater to as a business. Potential uses for having a business description. It's great to have something short, sweet, concise, powerful, a good hook on your website, on your homepage. It's great to have a version of it for your social media bio and for the About You section. And again, those are limited in the number of characters you have. So really, it's like diving in and getting something really concise yet efficient. You know, I work with a lot of startups that attend events, conferences, trade shows. They have booths, and a lot of times they have to offer some type of business description. And really, you want it to be something catchy, a hook that gets people interested. So when they open that program and they're flooded with, you know, depending on how big the show is, hundreds of different booths to go see, they're like, oh, that's a cool description. I want to visit this company when I get to the show. And then, like Kelly said, this is a good lead into building out your capability statement. It's great to have this as like the beginning part of building all of this out, and having a very solid business description, you can easily scale up from it. Before we move on to some examples to talk about, I'd love if our participants today could type in and let me know why they are here, if they have a business and they're looking to update their description, or if they are just working on one for the first time, just so that I know who we have today on the call and how we might be able to help one another as we move into crafting our own descriptions throughout this hour. So I'll give you a minute to type something in. Thanks, Sanford. Nice to have you on the call. Anybody else? All right, it sounds like our participants have businesses, they want to update their description, trying to build their client base and new in the market. So that's all great. I'm very glad that you're here. We've talked about the why you need a business description. What is a business description? So let's see a couple of examples that I've pulled just to give us some things to talk about. This is from a website that says, leveraging intuitive technology and nationwide logistics to divert waste and get food to those who need it the most. So I grabbed that as one of their descriptions. And so I'd like to know, just by seeing this website, reading that, what you think about that. Obviously, with a business description, what I like to think about is it's your first point of contact in explaining what it is that you do to someone, either verbally or written. And there's opportunities to scale that up, meaning you can add some more keywords, perhaps adjust it slightly depending on the audience. In this case, it was on a website, so it's difficult to tell who's going to come to the website and read this, so it's a little more general. But I would like to know what your feedback is on this description. Do you think it's good? Does it use too large of words? Does it need more words? What do you think? Just first thoughts. And please type it into the webinar chat. All right, so I was reading through your feedback. Thank you. I think we agree that it's very brief, few words, very concise. Sanford mentions there's no subject. And so that's all great examples of or feedback on why this could be expanded on a little bit. So let's go to the next one and see what we think about this one. Let me put my mouse on the screen so I can move forward. Okay. So this is from a Facebook page, and I pulled their description from there. So it's more of their like about us. My purpose in doing this is showing you a website example, a social media example, and then we'll show you one more after this. But this is actually a group that one of my daughters worked with for a while, and so I borrowed this from their Facebook page, but it says, our mind power coaches are Olympic, professional, elite, and post-collegiate athletes trained in the fundamentals of mindset development. They lead a results-driven mind power coaching program that helps teen athletes overcome mindset blocks and performance pressures, learn how to regulate emotions, prepare for competitions, and gain tools to enhance overall mental wellness. All right. Again, I'm going to ask you what your feedback is on this description. You can see it's certainly a few more words than the last one. Lonnie, definitely too many words. There are a lot of words there, maybe lacking some color and personality, especially if it's for teens. Mary says it's wordy. Katie says this one is more wordy, but still pretty clear. I agree. I always think about when I put together a business description, having something general that definitely explains what the business is about. But I also, like I've said a couple times, like to, you know, expand upon that depending on who the audience is. And given that this was Facebook, I would assume that the audience is probably not the teens themselves, but the parents. And so the parents are the ones that are reading this. And so they're probably a little more patient to reading a couple sentences with all of these words. But yes, Ray, I do like the other one better because it is shorter. I think this one is very, has a lot of explanation to it. You definitely know what you're getting into, but it could be a little more succinct. All right, we're going to see a third example. This one again is from another website. It's from MailChimp. MailChimp is an all-in-one marketing platform for small business. We empower millions of customers around the world to start and grow their businesses with our smart marketing technology, award-winning support, and inspiring content. Founded in 2001 and headquartered in Atlanta with additional offices in Brooklyn, Oakland, and Vancouver, MailChimp is 100% founder-owned and highly profitable. That was a lot of words, but I should have waited to tell you what my feedback is until you respond in the comments. But yeah, Sanford, feel like this could be cut in half and into inspiring content. I agree. I don't think we need that last sentence in there for sure, unless they are, say, at a conference where they're speaking to investors or something like that. Or maybe they want to let the people know the geography of their offices because they're attending an event where those offices are located. So perhaps that sentence is an add-on to the crux of it, those first two sentences. Mary, I think there should be a main statement followed by the detail. Lonnie, I love the images, people. Yep, I was told previously by a marketing expert that a person will attract the most views. Definitely having people there too. Not always can we have a photo or an image to go along with the description unless we're using this on a website or on social media. So that definitely could be a supportive way to like hammer home the point that's in your description. So that's something to think about. Ray agrees that the last sentence was too much. Other than that, it was great. So yes, lots of great feedback. So I hope I have you thinking about length of description, ways that you can use a business description, and like Lonnie said, even having some type of imagery to go along with it if it's used in a setting like this one for MailChimp, that could totally be a way to, support that. So before we dive into writing our own business descriptions today, I want to give you a couple of tips. The first is match the tone and voice of your brand. I think that establishing a brand for your business is really important. Usually when I talk about branding for a business, it's having a set of brand guidelines in place that includes color and imagery and keywords and key benefits and tone of voice. Those are also things I throw in there. So maybe my brand guidelines are a little bit broader than most, but I think it's important to really establish the tone and voice of your brand. Are you going to be fun? Are you going to be casual? Is it going to be professional? Is it going to be friendly or assertive or authoritative? Like think about the tone and the voice. And a lot of that depends on, your mission, who you work with, and the type of people that you're going to be talking to. No matter what, though, I think it's important to show enthusiasm. If you speak really monotone, if you're giving your business description in person, that's kind of boring. So, really let the people know that you're excited about what it is that you're doing, that you're there to engage and talk more about it. I think it's important to make it a little bit personal, but do so in a way that stays within the brand and the tone and the voice of your brand. As an example, when I worked with a startup and we would go to trade shows, all four of us in the booth would all be very well versed in what to say, that kind of elevator pitch style of a business description. So as someone comes up to our booth and they say, you know, what's this all about? All four of us would certainly say the exact same thing to begin with. But then each of us kind of had an add-on to it where we would skew it a little bit based on maybe our role within the company. And so for the founder, they would talk a little bit, you know, the next part of it, they would talk about their why they founded this business. And that seemed to resonate well with the people they spoke with. Another person was an engineer and they would go into a little bit more of the scientific part about it. I, of course, was the marketing person. And so I immediately went into demonstrating how it worked and showing them, and stayed away from some of the other things. But that way we made it a little bit personal and it helped us to, you know, hook that person after the description, after the pitch, and then we made it a little more personal. Always use positive language. That's important and really important in anything that you put out there. Think about grammar and tense. I know Sanford brought that up in one of the examples that we saw earlier, so very important. And yes, Mary, grammar, spelling, so important. Hopefully you didn't find a typo on this slide that I put together. Sometimes my fingers move faster, but yes, very important. And keywords, use keywords that describe what your business does. Keywords, you know, I think we're probably all pretty familiar with what a keyword is, but it's a descriptive word that relates back to what your business does, what you want your business to be associated with, a word that someone might use in a search to find your business and the things that your business does. And so that's really important to think about some of those keywords, and that'll actually be part of our exercise coming up. Also, another tip for writing a business description, include who you cater to and what you stand for. I think that that's an important component of the business description. Again, like I'm saying, put all these things in there, but then we want it to be really short. But I think that that's important to consider, especially in maybe the words that you're using, the tone, and the way that you describe your business. And if there's not, one more thing we can dump in there that we have to have in there is, you know, consider highlighting your competitive advantages. Like, why choose you? Why work with you? Why want to learn more? You know, have something in there that is a hook that that helps differentiate you from your competitors. So as we prepare to write a business description, I want you to think of your description as an elevator pitch where you have very limited time to speak about your company and can only bring up the most important facts, keeping it short as possible. I love to start with bullet points. I use bullet points for just about everything that I do because I want to dump out all of my thoughts and ideas, and I don't want to get too caught up in the, you know, putting together proper sentences, and then my like creativity starts to like dwindle because I'm focused on, you know, writing everything out in proper sentences. So I like bullet points where I can just list out everything that comes to mind and then take that and move it into crafting and building out short sentences. Only include the most important info, and you might not know what that is until you list out all of those points, and then we can go back through and edit again until we come up with a really concise business description. Clear as mud, right? Everybody got it? Perfect. So, all right, let's start writing a business description. If we were in person, I love worksheets, so I would give this to you as a physical worksheet, but we are all virtual, so if you just grab a piece of paper or even some Post-it notes, we can get to work. The goal is to kind of follow this guide from the worksheet, and I think that Jordan will send this to you afterwards, so if you want to move all your notes over to this or do it again, you'll have that if you want to print it out. So to begin with, grab a sheet of paper and write down who we are. What is your business? Who are we? So write that down first. And then once you have that written down, the next thing on the right-hand side, I like bullet points. I put little fields in there, but either way you want to do it, write down what we do. What is it that your business does? I left space for 3, but obviously if you have a few more things, feel free to add that in there. I don't mean to rush you along. If you're still writing, that's fine. But there might be some that are ready to move on. So we'll go to the next section. Why we do ... Why is it that you do what you do? Write that down. Again, I have this prepared for you in a bullet point format because that's what I prefer. So don't get hung up in the grammar at this point. We'll get to that momentarily, but for right now, just bullet point it out. What comes to mind? All right. The next section is to list out what do we stand for. This could lend itself to your mission and what do we, oh, Katie says, can you give some examples of what we stand for? I'm gonna flip back a few slides to the gooder example as a way to talk about how you can talk about what we stand for. So with gooder, they could say they stand for, fighting hunger, feeding communities, ending food waste. Like those are things that they stand for. It's important for them to, work towards fighting hunger, maybe even ending hunger in specific communities, waste less. So those could also lend themselves to be keywords, but those are some examples. Lonnie, improve guest confidence and self-image. Love that. Thank you. Hopefully that helps, Katie. There will be some crossover in some of these sections, but there is a reason why that's going to happen, and that's because the last thing, oh, I got a little ahead of myself. I forgot to add keywords. Write some keywords down first. Keywords that are associated with, keywords that you want associated with your business and that are associated with your business. All right. So as I was mentioning before, I forgot that we had to write some keywords down, is that you will find some redundancy throughout this worksheet that you notice, okay, well, I've said this more than once, or I've basically said this same thing in a couple different ways. And so you'll start to notice that there might be some trends, and that's where you get your highlighter out. I love office supplies, and so I've got the paper and the highlighters. Perhaps you don't have the highlighter, you can just circle it. That is okay too. But what I like to do is I go through and I highlight key points or things that I've said multiple times, because those are components of a business description that you can use in really writing out the full description. There are key points that you can bring into the next phase of writing the business description. I would love to know, and I think it might be helpful for other attendees to know, if you noticed any trends as you were going through this. Did you find any key points, or did you notice that there are things that you can highlight because you said it a couple of times? I would like to know some feedback. I really appreciate, Lonnie gave an example for what it is that they stand for the salon. So any other folks want to chime in? Lots of use of the word hair. That will probably come up. Yep. Thanks, Lonnie. Mary says create efficiency. Very good. Anyone else? Clear speech, public speaking. Cool. Great. So now that we have all of these bullet points and keywords and short phrases compiled, grab another piece of paper and we're really going to start writing and editing and rewriting. So this is where I want you to do, a side by side. So have both of your sheets of paper right here. And like Jordan said a couple minutes ago, that the handouts will be sent out following this webinar, so you'll have them. But in the meantime, a blank piece of paper works great too, but I want you to put the 2 pages side by side, the one we just worked on the left and the other one on the right. This one on the right will be where we're going to write our version 1 of our business description. And so I want you to take the things that you've highlighted or circled on your first page, the one on the left, and bring them over to start writing your business description on the right. The goal here is to write a version 1 and then read it, reread it again, highlight things that you like, maybe cross out things that you don't like, and then do it again into a version 2. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to write the version 1, and it would mean a lot to me and possibly to your fellow attendees if someone would like to share what their version 1 of their business description is. Hopefully it's short and concise enough that you can type it out into the chat. That's also a challenge for you to keep it short and concise, but would love to have someone share theirs in a couple minutes after you give version 1 a go. Thanks, Stanford. I appreciate you being our first volunteer here. I help local governments purchase and transition to new software systems. Oh, a version 1A adds this at the end, and achieve goals for efficiency, transparency, and service to their residents. Awesome. I like that you have a version 1 and a version 1A. I think that that's a fabulous example of having an elevator pitch, a business description that you can then add that onto when applicable, depending on who you're talking to. Awesome. Thanks, Sanford. Other volunteers? Ray says, providing the furnace or air conditioning status, safety, energy efficiency, and lifespan. Katie says at Dovetail Speech Academy, we believe excellent communication is for everyone. We help professionals conquer public speaking, write, rehearse, and deliver with confidence. Excellent. I'd love to know from the Sanford, Ray, and Katie, if you had a business description before, does this seem similar to it, or were you able to use some of the things that you wrote down in the first worksheet to help you kind of change it a little bit, create a new version? Oh, Ray says shorten. Yep. Cool. Sanford says the version 1 was already there, but then the 1A came from the what do I stand for? Cool. Lonnie, I'd love to hear if you have a business description you'd like to share. No pressure though. If you're still working or don't want to share it yet, that is all right. All right. So after you write the version 1, I want you to do it all over again to write a version 2. And the goal for this is to be able to compare and contrast the two versions. And then, have an opportunity to either rewrite it because there's something you want to change, or maybe the sentence doesn't flow quite right, or to have two options to kind of bounce around and test, compare and contrast with maybe other people that you work with, colleagues. I usually refrain from asking family members because they tell me, oh, that sounds great, even if I know that it's not great. So I love them, but I'd probably stick with colleagues or friends in the industry to give some feedback. But that's the purpose of having you write a version 2, is so that you can do a little compare and contrast. Oh, Lonnie, thank you so much. All right. At Gilded Lily Beauty Bar, you can enjoy a boutique salon experience during your luxury hair color, brow tint, and lamination, fully customized hair extensions, and French method haircut services. Sounds amazing. I knew you meant lamination. I've heard that before. Awesome. I think that sounds really great. Oh, I skipped to my last slide a little bit too early here. My computer's going crazy. Sorry, I had a tickle in my throat. All right, Lonnie, I'm glad to hear that your new description is much more streamlined than your others. Awesome. Glad that was helpful. Katie, it looks like this is your version 2. Better communication makes life better. At Dovetail Speech Academy, we help professionals take their speaking skills to the next level. Write, rehearse, and deliver powerful speeches with less time, less stress, and more fun. Ooh, I love that. I'm with Lonnie. I love that. I think that sounds great. I think that is catchy and concise and gives people an opportunity to then ask questions. So it's a good hook to then say, oh yeah, I would love to have help with this and with that, and that sounds great. Excellent. Ray, you mentioned earlier that you that was kind of a shortened version of your business description. Would you like to share maybe your more expanded version? It's long, Ray. That's all right. Maybe then it's a good opportunity to write it out and then highlight some of the key points to see how you can condense it down a little bit to make it, a little shorter, but also a little more concise in what you're saying. And so that maybe will give you an opportunity to where you can adjust it a little bit depending on who you're speaking to and maybe what kind of services they're looking for, or what the audience is that might be reading your business description. That's something to consider. Sanford, your version 2 is about avoiding problems, so it's positive, but by avoiding negatives. I help local governments avoid spending and wasting time when changing software systems. I like that too. That's very good. I appreciate you sharing how, it's talking about maybe something that is negative, but presenting it in a positive way. Right. Well, I believe we've heard from quite a few of our participants today. Ray says, what do you think about using Gemini for helping write friendly website mission statements? That is, SEO friendly. Got it, SEO friendly. So to me, SEO friendly would be including relative keywords that are associated with your business. So that is part of what I was trying to help you all think about in putting a business description together. I had a hunch that AI would come up in this conversation because, yeah, you could totally use a platform to help you write this business description. My concern is that it's not coming from you necessarily. It might not use the right tone of voice, or it might not sound like something maybe you would personally say. AI is getting even smarter, and so I know that you can use different tones or request that what is produced back to you is in a tone that you want them to use. I think that there are uses for AI and coming up with this type of content to put out there, but I do think that it's important that your first go at this to be something that you put together and that you write, because it's going to be more meaningful and authentic, but it also really helps you to get used to saying those words that you've come up with as you go out there and you share that business description, either verbally or, on paper, or as an about you on your social media or on your website. So I think I danced around your question, but I would say start with your own thoughts first. Great question though. Thanks for bringing it up. I knew that's a good thing to talk about. Right. Well, this is me. I'm Natalie. I would love to help with your business description if you have any questions. Happy to read it. If after you write it, you can email it to me. I'm happy to give you some feedback, but you know, always here to help. That's my contact info, but I know that Jordan will send it out too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Natalie. And thank you so much for our participation from the group today. We really love to see that. Kelly, is there anything you wanted to add on the Apex side of things or any questions, food for thought, maybe for Natalie or anything like that?
No, Natalie, I love the back and forth that we had, that we got that participation from the group. That engagement, I think, really brings home the points that you were making, and the fact that we can use that, and then also look towards outreach events and even developing those terms into the capability statement is going to be very critical. And if anyone that has participated today is not familiar with the Illinois Apex and is interested in government contracting, please feel free to reach out. We'd like to work with you and see how we can assist. So, Natalie, thank you so much again for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, we'll wait another minute here just to see if we get any other questions come in. But just in case anyone joined us after we kicked off today's session, I do want to remind everyone you will get a recording of today's webinar along with a PDF version of Natalie's PowerPoint so you can walk back through it if you want. And you'll also get that handout that was referenced, and that email will go out tomorrow morning. So be on the lookout for that. And it will include Natalie's contact information, like she said, if you wanted to shoot her over your business description, which is very kind and thoughtful of Natalie to take the time to help everyone. We do appreciate you offering that, Natalie. Please feel free to do that. Again, if you'd like to work with the Apex or anyone at our center, please feel free to reach out as well. All righty. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in. Again, thank you so much to everyone for participating today. We really appreciate the lively chat box and the feedback we were getting. So thank you for that. And I hope everyone has a wonderful week and enjoys this nice sunny weather we're having. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and end out today. Thank you, everyone in the chat. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.